Welcome to another Power Hour presentation from the Canada Growth Network.
What I'm going to be doing is a condensed version of my 3-day event down at Walt Disney World. I'm going to do it in 10 minutes. So hold on to your seats. This is a picture of me and my former boss. Great guy to work for, very demanding, very high standards, just kind of like his creator, Walt. Just to give you a little background on what I do, who I am. So in addition to working for Disney, I've had a number of corporate jobs. And here in Maryland, I own 3 home service businesses. I have a mold remediation company, a Oriental rug washing facility, and a carpet cleaning company. So everything I'm about to tell you, I have done in those businesses. So I'm not just one of those consultants that went to consulting school, got the little consulting diploma, and called myself a 19-year-old life coach, which I had the pleasure of meeting a couple of weeks ago. So everything I'm talking about, I have done in a real business. As I mentioned, I do events down at Walt Disney World. I take business groups down there for 3- and 4-day full immersion boot camps where we spend half the day in the theme park and half the day in the classrooms. And I have a whole bunch of curated experiences that we do. And at the end of it, you've got a blueprint on how you're going to Disneyfy your business. So they're a lot of fun, very educational. And at the end of it, most people are completely exhausted. We average about 14 to 18,000 steps every single day. And I show this slide to kind of show the breadth of what I can do and the kinds of businesses that I can work with. I don't show this slide to brag at all, but whether you run a railroad, you're an orthodontist, or you run a retirement community, it doesn't matter. Everything that I'm going to tell you today applies in just about every single business. How many of you, what do you think customer experience is? What is it? Customer experience, if we want to kind of give it a definition, is really a combination of things. There is your performance, the overall performance of the business, the product that you created, the service that you deliver. It also is the senses that you stimulated. So whether that is not the senses of Tony working in a rubber factory or myself working in a birth control factory, but really, see, that was funny. You like that right there on the button. But it is also the emotions that are evoked against the customer's expectations. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. But the primary thing is that it is more than 50% of how the customer feels. That's it. How did you make them feel? It's not about the rational experiences of your hours of operations or how quickly the phone is answered. And certainly all those things play into it. But how did you make the customer feel? What did they feel at the end of the interaction or in using your product? So when you're doing your marketing and you're talking to people, you want to do things that are going to evoke emotions. Okay. And I'm not talking about getting cute and cuddly and hugging and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking, visceral emotions. What are you getting them to feel? Because your marketing, if you remember, is designed to do 2 things: attract the people you want to do business with and repel the people that you don't want to do business with. So when you have those emotions evoked, you're really playing into your marketing and attracting who you want and repelling who you don't want. Here's the thing. That is what most companies say when they are polled. 80% say they deliver a great experience. But the sad part is that when we go and we talk to the customers, we review the customers of those companies, only 8% of the customers think that those businesses deliver a great experience. So there's a huge disconnect between what we think and what our customers think and what they are experiencing. So we have a gap that we need to overcome. Let me give you a couple of quick stats here on the customer service and the poor state that it is in. I think we can all agree to that. 78% of customers have bailed on a transaction. That means they have not made an intended purchase because of a poor service experience. They were standing there with their dollars in their hand or their credit card, and because of poor service, they left. Customer service has gotten so bad that 7 in 10 consumers said they were willing to spend more with companies they believe provide excellent customer service. So competing on price isn't the most effective way to build an enduring business. All right. Great service delivered time and time again is defensible against the stiffest and most well-funded marketing stuff out there. Okay, people are not always shopping on price, unless, of course, that's the only thing you give them to compare you on, which is why if you look at any of my businesses, go on the websites, you will not see a price anywhere because I do not compete on price. And if you think about it, companies with great service aren't afraid to charge a premium for it. Think about Ritz-Carlton, Whole Foods, Nordstrom's, Disney, American Express. Okay, they all charge premium services and deliver those premium results. So that's what we want to look into. And I want to give you a quick outline on how much people are willing to spend. Okay, people are willing to spend a lot to get this incredible experience. 31% are willing to spend 10% more to get the same product or service, just to get a better experience. A third of the population is willing to spend up to 10% more for a great experience. What does that tell you guys? Go raise your prices 10% right now and you'll be just fine. No problems, no questions asked. Then there's 10% that are willing to spend up to 20% more. 8% are willing to spend up to 30% more. Think about a hammer. Right now, there are 8% of the population is willing to spend 30% more on buying a hammer. 10% of the population is willing to spend more money for a hammer just to get a better hammer buying experience. Okay, so this is where your marketing dollars need to be spent, on trying to attract these people that are willing to pay more for the same services or products that others provide. So how do we get there? Well, a while back, there was a great book called The Experience Economy. If you haven't read that, I highly recommend you picking it up. It's a little bit dated, but the information is solid gold. And they had something called the progression of economic value. And on one side, you have your competitive position. And then along the bottom, you have your pricing, going from market pricing to premium pricing. And at the bottom of this thing are commodities. Okay, these are the basic materials. And we do not control the pricing of commodities. The marketplace controls it. Think about flour or oil or iron ore or things like that. The marketplace sets the price for those commodities. We don't want to be down there because it doesn't give us any competitive advantage. Moving up a step are goods. Goods are made from those commodities, and we get some leeway in the pricing. So if you think about iron ore, and then we turn it into steel, okay? So same basic commodity, but now it's a good that can be used for other things. The next step up are services, and these are really the intangible activities. They are comprised of the goods and how they are delivered. So think about a railroad rail made out of that steel that's made out of the iron ore. It's got a lot more value, and it's got a higher competitive position. But at the tippy top, where we all want to be, is delivering experiences. Because no two people can have the same experience, right? They don't go to Disney for a vacation. They go to Disney to make memories, to get some happiness, create memories. So although you can't feel or touch or see the experiences, they are there, and that is at the top. So let's break this down. We're gonna bake a birthday cake. And for those of us of a certain age, we can remember our mothers or grandmothers actually baking cakes for us. And they touched the commodities, the flour, the cocoa, the sugar, etc. Let's just say, for sake of argument, that the amount of commodities in a birthday cake is, let's say, $5. You got a cup of flour, half a cup of sugar, etc. Right? Well, then comes along cake in a box. Those commodities became less relevant with the invention of pre-packaged cakes and frostings, right? So now you got the Tubbo fake frosting, and you got the box that's got the stuff in it. All you got to do is add an egg, and there you go. So how much do these things cost? Now, I haven't bought this in a while. I don't think I've ever bought the tub of frosting, but let's just say, for sake of argument, $15. $7, $7.50 for the cake, $7.50 for the frosting. That higher cost was a trade-off because they were actually purchasing time and convenience. So people were willing to spend more for the same exact commodity ingredients. Then along comes the bakeries and the grocery stores, and it's the same basic commodity ingredients, but these cakes are like 10 times what the ingredients actually cost, because this is the service. Same $5 worth of ingredients, but you're probably going to spend 50, 60 bucks to get a little cake with a nice little inscription on it. Again, people are buying convenience and they're buying time. And at this point, they really don't have to expend a lot of energy either. But where we want to be is at the tippy top in experiences. What do families do now? They outsource. They outsource the entire birthday party to Dave & Buster's or Chuck E. Cheese, or I know these are all U.S. Examples. Work with me here. Hopefully, Canadians, you guys don't have Chuck E. Cheese's. It would be the worst export from the United States you guys would ever get. So Dave & Buster's is pretty good. American Girl, though, did you know that American Girl has the longest amount of time a customer will spend in the store? Almost 3 hours. Can you imagine going into an auto parts store and shopping for a muffler for 3 hours? American Girl has designed the experience. So if you bought an American Girl doll, these things run about $60 or $75 for one doll. Same doll you can get at Walmart for about 10 bucks. All right, so it's 5 or 6x that hunk of plastic that's made in China. Right? And then you have to add to it outfits, because you can't just have one outfit for your doll. And the outfits run you 25 or 30 bucks each, and you're going to get at least two. So now we're up to about $120, $130 for a doll. Right? Oh, but wait, you need to get your picture taken with the doll. So you go to the American Girl photo studio. That's another 40 or 50 bucks. But wait, you can't go there because you got to get your hair done. So you go to the American Girl hair studio and you and your doll get the same matching hairstyle, right? Wait, I've been there so long. Now I'm hungry. So you go to the American Girl restaurant and you and your doll can have lunch. So that $10 doll at Walmart is worth like 250 bucks now. And it doesn't end there. You can have your birthday party at the American Girl store. For the low price of about $400 a kid, you and 9 of your closest friends can have a party there. And it doesn't end there. You can have a sleepover birthday party at the American Girl store. And it runs about $1,000 a head. So you and 9 of your closest friends can have, and it doesn't come with the doll. It's just the experience. So you go from a $10 hunk of Chinese plastic doll that you can get at Walmart, 10 bucks, all the way up to $1,000 per person birthday event around the doll. That's the extent of pricing and the price elasticity you get with delivering experiences. So we want to aim for more than just satisfaction, because satisfied customers defect all the time. And if they are just merely satisfied, okay, they are far less likely to drive any kind of business growth through referrals or repeat purchases or, a reduced price sensitivity. And then if you think about it, nobody raves about average. When was the last time you went home, sat down at the dinner table with the entire family and said, "Oh my God, you'll never guess what happened at the oil change today"? That conversation just doesn't happen. Unless, of course, you came to my client who runs oil change services. All right. My client, Jackson, he runs a oil change service like nobody's business. So he was in competition with a couple of those other franchise ones, Quick Lube, Jiffy Lube, the guys, all they do is oil changes, in and out, 50 bucks and you're done. And every time they ran a coupon, Jackson had to run a coupon, and it was really a race to the bottom. And he was just getting burnt out. He wasn't making a lot of money. So what he did was we designed his service station around like a 1950s style service station where 4 guys run out. They got little white shirts and bow ties on. They come up, they got gloves on the car. They open the door for you. They escort you into the waiting room. And in the waiting room are like today's newspaper, not last week's. And there's also a barista in there ready to make your favorite coffee drink. Now, when was the last time you saw a barista in a oil change place? Probably never. So, and we did a whole bunch of other little things to add on to the experience. The result of all this work is he is charging 45% more for the same oil change that you can get literally 2 doors down the street from him. 45% more. It's not a magical oil. It's regular, everyday Pennzoil or whatever the hell it is that they put in the car. Same oil. It's just a different level of experience. The other ancillary benefit to it was his employees. He now has his average employees now are 18 months. That's like 62 lifetimes in the oil change world, because those guys just turn over all the time. They actually enjoy working there because, yes, while he gave up a little bit in volume, he more than made up in his pricing. And so now it's like a pleasant place to visit and a pleasant place to work. So there's a lot of benefits to being able to charge a premium price, offer the premium service. You can also offer a premium experience for your employees if you have them. So how do we get there? What do we have to do to get to the point where we're charging 45% more than our closest competitor? And it's going through what I call the client service flow map or customer journeying, whatever you want to call it. And it's not sexy. Okay, I get it. This is not sexy, but you have to do it. If you don't know your client journey or your customer journey, you've got no way of figuring out along the way, where can you add moments of surprise, moments of joy, little wow moments and things like that. So you want to do this from the point of view of your customer. And in block number 1 is the first interaction your customer has with your company. Is it a website? Is it a phone call? Is it a visit to your showroom? What is it? And you put it in block number 1. And then what's block number 2? What is the next thing that a client does? Do they come visit you? Is there some kind of diagnostic meeting? Is there an oil change? What is the next step? And you do this for every step of the way. All the way, it really doesn't end, because if we want customers to stick with us for a lifetime or for at least 5-10 years, this process really doesn't end. And the other thing that you have to think about is what happens in between each of the points. So let's say you're a financial advisor, and point number 1 is the initial phone call, and you're going to get a little bit of information on that call. And then step number 2 is the strategy meeting, where you have a 1-hour consultation in your office. So between steps 1 and 2, you're working. You're crunching numbers, you're getting some kind of plan ready to present to your prospect. Your prospect, however, is sitting around doing nothing. They are waiting. And what happens when people wait? They start to get buyer's remorse. They start to second guess their purchase decision. They might not even just show up to the meeting. They might just bail out. So while there is a point 1 and 2 for us, there's really a point 1A or 1.5 for the customer, and that's the waiting period. So you have to entertain them while they're waiting for whatever it is you're doing. And that's what Disney is so good at. Okay, they entertain you while you're in line waiting. Yes, we do wait at Disney. It's a long, arduous thing, but being in line is actually part of the attraction. Okay, if you go on the Haunted Mansion, you've got tombstones to read, and you play with the little organ, and there's cast members walking around. The wait doesn't feel so bad. So you got to identify those wait periods. Then what we do is we prioritize where can we make those things better. All right. Walt Disney had a term for this called plussing, which is process improvement. How do we make it better? So you'll go back to your journey map, you'll pick a block number, and you'll come over and you'll enter it here on the process chart. And you put the block number in there, and then you'll write in, what are we currently doing? Let's just say answer the telephone. Okay, we'll say that's our first point of contact. So block 1 is answer the telephone, and our current mediocre service is, thank you for calling Dave's Insurance. How can I help you? Now, we've all heard that from 10,000 companies, right? I mean, they all say some version of that. It's not exactly something that is memorable or is going to make you go out and talk to the world about them. So I was working with a bunch of insurance agents, and there was this Allstate guy, and he was having a hard time standing out. There was like 7 other Allstate agencies in his city, plus all of the other insurance agents from all of the other companies. And his first point of contact was answering the telephone. So we did a brainstorming session with his team, and his receptionist actually came up with the way they answered the telephone. So the insurance agent was a big rock and roll fanatic. I mean, he absolutely was just diehard rock and roll. He had autographed guitars on the walls, pictures of The Who and gold records. I mean, just rock and roll nut. So she said, I think we should lean into his personality and have him kind of be the rock and roll insurance agent. And we should answer the phone, kind of channeling our inner Wolfman Jack. So now they answer the phone. Thank you for calling Dave's Allstate, the agency that rocks. Right? And so for the first, 16 times you say it, it sounds a little bit dowdy, but it does exactly what your marketing is designed to do. It attracts the people you want and repels the people you don't want. And just by answering the phone that way, they sift, sort, and screen out anybody that would have been a bad customer for them. So that is the process.
Thank you for watching. We host a free-to-attend session every Monday from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern.